Hello and welcome to Allegedly Astrology. Each week, we break down the astrology that happened during some of the biggest scandals and events in history.
Thanks so much to everyone for listening to our show. And if you want to support us, you can leave us a 5-star review and subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening on.
And if you do leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and DM us a screenshot of your review, we'll make you a custom meme of your big three and send you a quick write-up about it.
We also have a very cool and exclusive Patreon. So if you want more awesome astrology content, join us at patreon.com/allegedlyastrology.
And make sure to follow us on social media. We're Allegedly Astrology on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and Allegedly Astro on Twitter. You can also visit our website, allegedlyastrology.com, to book a reading with Dana and learn more about the show.
I've had such good readings lately. Just FYI.
Chic.
Thank you.
So with that, Dana, what are we talking about today?
Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco.
Yes, we are sticking with our synastry theme since it's Taurus season and love is in the air. And also a lot of people want to know what's going on with these two. So Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco can be a little bit of a polarizing couple to some, but they do appear to be super duper in love thanks to their constant PDA. And after several years of dating, the pair are engaged. So let's learn a little bit more about each of them and their astrology.
Yeah, I feel like we've covered Selena Gomez so many times at this point.
We really have. We did a great episode about her with astrologer Nadine
She's so
Jane.
cool.
Yeah.
So you should go back and listen to that.
Also, didn't we do a mini one of when there was like drama with Haley and Selena, Instagram drama?
Yeah,
I'm sure we
I
did.
feel like that was like
I think we've done like
February
3 episodes on
2022,
her.
maybe.
Yeah. There's a lot of Selena back content you guys can go and listen to, but we're going to give you the most up-to-date stuff that we've got.
Yes. So, in case you missed it, Selena Gomez is an American actress, singer, songwriter, producer, businesswoman, and bestie to Taylor Swift. She began her career as a child actress on Barney and Friends and Disney Channel's Wizards of Waverly Place.
Yes. And then she launched a super successful solo singing career and then began taking more mature acting roles in movies like Spring Breakers. And she also founded the cosmetic company Rare Beauty, which as of 2024 is valued at a cool $2 billion with a B dollars. So,
Damn.
Dana, tell us about the chart of this multi-talented actress, singer, and business mogul.
Yeah, a multi-hyphenate, I think, is what we call that now.
Yes.
So Selena Gomez was born on July 22nd, 1992 in Grand Prairie, Texas at 7:19 a.m. And she has a Cancer sun, an Aries moon, and a Leo rising. Oh, the drama. She also has Mercury retrograde in Leo, Venus in Leo, Mars detriment in Taurus, Jupiter in detriment in Virgo, and Saturn domicile in Aquarius. So just getting into her big three, she has a Cancer sun, like I said. She's sweet, caring, enterprising. Capricorn is, of course, opposite Cancer. So this is the axis of being really enterprising. And Cancer doesn't always get the credit for also ruling the world. She's guarded, sensitive, yearning to be seen, heard, and held, and also kind of a really twisted sense of humor. Although I don't know that I've seen that fully from her, but I do watch Only Murders in the Building. And
Yeah, I was going to say that character is probably the
Yeah.
closest that
Mabel
see
is her
her.
name.
Yeah.
So Cancer suns prioritize connection. The sun has so much to do with our priorities, and it's in her natal 12th house. So a lot of celebrities have 12th house placements, and for her, this is a placement that can belong to the world. There's an inner struggle, a need to hide sometimes, and she feels like she can't. And it's just sort of the 12th house just opens you up to so much other energy. And her sun is ruled by her moon in Aries in her 9th house. So her Aries moon is self-validating, strong-willed, passionate, needs to express feelings and may do so abruptly, but also can. Well, it's interesting to have a Cancer sun ruled by a moon in Aries, because the moon in Aries is so quick. Like the feeling is there, the feeling is gone. But Cancer placements in general, really like the body keeps the score is what goes on with the Cancer placement. And sometimes the brain does as well, the memory. So the moon is what we need for physical and emotional security and nourishment. And in her 9th house, she needs a strong faith, either in God or some other type of spirituality. Her faith in God or the universe is inextricably linked to her faith in herself. And she needs to learn and explore. And then, of course, she's a Leo rising, just like me. So she's a star. Leo is a sign of the celebrity, and the rising is the personality, the body, one's perspective. So she's always been a performer. Like Sarah said, she began on Barney, and she was very like a small child at that time, I believe. And so her sun, though, or her rising, though, is ruled by her sun in Cancer in her 12th house. So it's the sun, the 12th house is behind the first house. It sort of wraps up the chart. It's an ending. It's a subconscious. There's a lot of mental health things that go on in the 12th house. It's a very spiritual house as well. And so with this though, there's an inner tragedy or burden she carries. Sometimes people who have their chart ruler, which is of course the ruler of their rising in their 12th house, can be their own worst enemy at times. And maybe this could be especially when she feels the need to perform because then it's not feeling natural, like, shows she's emotional, maybe dramatic at times, but she's always authentic to herself and her feelings, so the need to perform would feel just like it would fuck her up, to be blunt. She also has Venus, Chiron, and Mercury wait, let me say that again, I added a D to Chiron. She also has Venus, Chiron, and Mercury retrograde in Leo conjunct her rising. Venus brings beauty, allure, magnetism, a desire to collaborate. Chiron is closely conjunct her natal Venus, and this is the primordial wound. So she's, on Instagram and in documentaries, she's expressed feeling bad about herself or her looks at various times. And this would speak to that. Never feeling like enough, even though she's unfathomably successful. Also, very cool to have a beauty brand with Venus conjunct the ascendant. And then Mercury retrograde here internalizes feelings and considers everything before speaking up. Mercury rejoices in the first house because the first house is how we see the world, and Mercury is the ability to think and process information. She's definitely smarter than we know, maybe smarter than she knows. So I hope she has learned to believe in herself. I'm sure Penny has helped. She also has Jupiter in the second house, just like Kylie Jenner. So even though her Jupiter is detriment in Virgo, Jupiter is still Jupiter. And here in the second house, Jupiter grants abundance. This is the house of income. She is rich. She's a billionaire. Betty billionaire is what maybe they'll call him next. Haha.
What's also interesting is I feel like we didn't really touch on I see a lot of stuff in her 6th house. She's also known for having, like, really severe health issues.
Yes.
I know you brought up mental health issues, but she has lupus, she had a kidney transplant, she has SIBO. Shout out to my fellow SIBO sister.
SIBO. That's her north
Um,
node. But the nodal axis, it really needs to be in balance. So that makes a lot of sense. And also with the nodes in her 6th and 12th, mental health will greatly affect her physical health. With Neptune in the 6th, she really like her day-to-day routine, as much as she tries to adhere to one, it can get, it can change with her health. And with Uranus there, she really needs to make it her own. Like it has to be to her.
yeah, having your nodal axis in the 12th and the 6th, I feel like you're constantly battling your physical and your emotional
Yeah, well
health.
said.
And that does seem like that's a constant battle for her.
Very true. So that's Selena. Then we have Benny Blanco. His full name is Benjamin Joseph Levin, and he's an American record producer and songwriter. He's been nominated for a ton of awards for producing music, and he's worked with some of the biggest names in pop music like Ed Sheeran, BTS, Eminem, Katy Perry, Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, Rihanna, love her, The Weeknd, Kanye West, Keith Urban, Wiz Khalifa, J Balvin, Ariana Grande, and
He's
SZA.
kind of millennial
Others.
Rick Rubin, maybe.
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
I mean, the man has range. Let's
Yeah.
just
I saw a
yeah.
clip on Instagram a while back that was just a bunch of his songs in succession, and he had so many hits. I was like, "Wow, he made
so
every
many
Mhm.
song from
hits.
2008 to 2000, like, I don't know, 19?"
Man, he wrote Teenage Dream,
That's wild.
Yes.
and he wrote Diamonds for
Yes.
Rihanna.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, produced. I don't know what the difference is really,
Well, it
but
says this is, of course, like, Google AI, Gemini.
mhm.
yeah,
But it
take
says,
it with a grain of
Hey,
salt.
don't implicate
he's
Gemini in this
written
bullshit.
he's written a vast number of popular songs, including Love Yourself for
He
Justin
wrote I
Bieber,
love
Teenage
that
Dream.
song. I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of people who need
And
to love
speaking of
themselves,
Justin Bieber,
He
Justin.
wrote Moves Like Jagger.
Oh, okay, I wouldn't put that on my resume.
yeah. Okay, but he goes way back with Selena's ex, Justin Bieber. He co-wrote Eenie Meenie with him way back in 2009, and like Sarah said, he wrote songs like Love Yourself, Cold Water, and more, so he actually was collaborating with Justin way before he was collaborating with Selena, which is Frey and
They were like
Terrasante.
15 and 22 recording or like writing Eenie Meenie, which is so funny to me. So young.
Benny Blanco seems like a young soul, I don't know. But speaking of Benny Blanco, my last, like, night out on the town before the world shut down with COVID was
Oh,
Benny Blanco's
yeah.
birthday
I
party.
remember you
Do you
texting
remember
me and
that?
telling me about
March
meeting
8th,
Diplo.
March 8th. Yes, March 8th, 2020. My brother and my friend Matt were both invited to his birthday party, and so I was like, "Yeah, I'm coming." And it was in a warehouse in LA, and I was waiting in a long line for what I thought was the bar, and then I got up there, and it was a weed like a blunt rolling station, and I was like, "Oh, I just really want a vodka soda," and they're like, "Oh, the bar is over there. Do you wanna join?" And they were like girls in bikinis rolling
Sure, why
joints.
not?
And I don't know if I actually met Benny Blanco that night. I saw him, like, around. It was, like, him and Lil Dicky and whatever, but I remember I came out of the bathroom and my brother is sitting there talking to someone, and he was like, "Elise, come meet Wes."
Shut up.
And I
Your
was like,
brother calls him
"What?"
Wes? How is that?
Yes, and
Matt never told me that.
Diplo reached out,
Matthew.
shook my hand and said, "Hi, I'm Wesley."
Oh my god, he's so hot. Was
And I
he
was
so
like,
hot?
"Whoa,
I
so
love
hot."
Diplo. I'll never not
Yeah, it was,
never
like,
get over that.
crazy. I was, like, so overwhelmed. I couldn't tell if it was a costume party or people were just dressed weird. I think it was, like, some maybe kind of '70s theme, but I honestly wasn't sure. And I just remember his girlfriend at the time, who is now Pete Davidson's
Oh, yeah,
girlfriend,
yeah.
she was, like,
Oh.
giving me dirty looks in the bathroom, probably because she could tell I wasn't a
Wait,
celeb.
what?
Anyway, continue.
So, Dana, what's his chart like?
Okay, Benny Blanco was born on March 8th, 1988 in Reston, Virginia, and we don't have a birth time for
I
him.
literally knew he was gonna be a fucking
Did you?
Pisces. Like, in my soul, I felt it. Yeah.
Well,
Just because I feel like he's so
yeah,
musician.
he's a
And
Well, I also did say that I went to his birthday party on March 8th,
oh, yeah.
2020.
True.
But I knew you could feel it in your soul too, Sarah.
Yes.
you guessed,
I knew it.
someone was a Virgo, like, a few days ago, and you were right. So
Well, because it was Charlie Trotter, and it was
right.
because he was being such a insane person.
Like a serial killer about getting, like, food out. The
Yeah.
precision. Okay, so Benny's a Pisces sun and a Scorpio moon, and his Mercury is in Aquarius. His Venus is domicile in Taurus. His Mars is exalted in Capricorn. His Jupiter is in Aries if he was born before 10:43 a.m. on the day he was born, and it's in Taurus if he was born afterward. And his Saturn is domicile in Capricorn. So he's a Pisces sun. It's a dreamy, powerful, enigmatic, artistically inclined. And his sun is ruled by Jupiter. Well, if it's ruled by Jupiter in Aries, then Pisces suns might have a bit more energy and be inclined to impulsiveness, impulsive behavior. And if his sun is ruled by Jupiter in Taurus, then he'll be extra dreamy. This Pisces sun will be sensual, romantic, very musically inclined, since Pisces is related to poetry and Taurus is the sign of music, and they're both related to artistry in general. And then his moon is in fall in Scorpio. So here the moon requires a lot of time to trust in relationships and like to trust their environments. And his moon is conjunct Pluto, so people can be mean to him. His mother may have endured mistreatment. Maybe he has a complicated relationship with his mother. Also, this placement or this aspect in a natal chart, someone who oozes with emotional intensity, maybe a hint of jealousy. Jealousy can also be like a motivator. And just in general, having the moon conjunct Pluto, but especially in Pluto, makes someone a target for other people's emotional projections. And his moon bow is ruled by Mars, which is exalted in Capricorn. So Benedy. So let me start this whole thing over. So his moon is ruled by Mars exalted in Capricorn, which makes Benny supported in ways that other Scorpio moons may not be if their Mars are in other signs. So this indicates the ability to play the long game. A Scorpio moon ruled by Mars and Capricorn really embodies the phrase success is the best revenge instead of maybe dwelling on revenge as much. I also really need to call out his Venus Jupiter conjunction. Aside from his musical talents, this indicates creativity and luck, general kindness, and especially in Taurus, it would indicate potential to amass great wealth, being super keyed into his senses, having a great deal of love and patience, especially for his loved ones.
I think he has a really good relationship with his mom.
That's
He talks about her a lot, and also she wears a necklace with a locket of a picture of him and Selena in it.
that's so funny. Okay, sweet. I like that.
Okay, the Pluto conjunct his moon in Scorpio. I was not expecting that. Now I think he's like,
He was also born during eclipse season, so he was born after a lunar eclipse in Virgo, but then the moon had entered Scorpio, so it's very intense. Even extra, extra, extra. Read all about it.
Yeah,
yeah,
this is a lot of, like between the 2 of them, I can't wait to get to their Davison and Synastry chart because this is fascinating.
Hee hee.
He
yeah, no,
he.
it is pretty
I would love
wild.
to get his birth time, and I would love to get
I
her
know.
confirmed birth time, but
I know hers is not confirmed. Maybe she'll pull a Beyonce and post her birth certificate in a book
that
or
would be so
something.
swag.
We
Um,
really need her and Taylor to do that as
yes,
soon as possible.
ASAP. All right. So, how did Selena and Benny meet? Obviously, they're both in the music business in Hollywood. It's not a crazy love story here, but apparently Selena's mom tried to set them up when Selena was like 16 or 17 as a networking thing to further her music career because even back then, Benny Blanco was sort of on the cusp of fame. Neither one of them said they remembered this lunch meeting, but they did officially collaborate on a few songs on her 2015 album Revival, including Same Old Love, which is a
I don't
bop.
remember that. How does
Yeah,
it
I do
go?
like that song.
No stick to that same
Oh,
old
yeah.
love. I mean, it's not quite that, but
I like the one with
It's
A$AP
pretty
Rocky
close.
remixed it. Good
Oh,
for
good for
you.
you.
I just
Uh,
wanna look good for you. Uh-huh.
that one is
good
really
for
good.
you.
Something dress on the
So,
floor.
so Selena, as we all know, was in an on again, off again relationship with Justin Bieber, and I forgot that it lasted for like 8
That's an
years,
entire
which is
Venus cycle and a Saturn
so
square.
Yes.
long.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yes.
Fascinating.
But despite, her little rocky situationship that she was in, Benny and her remained in each other's lives and like in the same friendship circle. So they were like bumping into each other from time to time.
Yes. And fans started to speculate that Benny and Selena were an item around July 2023 when he was spotted in photos from her 31st birthday party.
And then Selena posts about his cookbook on her social account and even went to his to comment on his post about said cookbook. So, yeah, they both like
They
cooking.
Cute.
both they both love cooking. She had a cooking
Yeah, I
show.
watched a lot of
Yeah.
episodes of that.
And then in August 2023, Selena dropped her song Single Soon, which was produced by Benny.
But a huge clue that the 2 might be something is when Selena's mom, Mandy, followed Benny Blanco on Instagram, which is sort of like a first big indicator of their relationship, that they were more than just friends.
However, it wouldn't be until December 2023 when Selena confirmed their relationship status with a series of Instagram story posts and comments. And, it was a black and white selfie, which was her like laying her head on his chest. And she said, "Ugh, this is too cringe for me. He is my absolute everything in my heart." She also started wearing a B ring for Benny. Take
Crazy.
that
Cancers
as
hit the
you
ground
will.
running.
But anyway, what was going on when Selena hard launched their relationship on social media?
Okay, buckle up. We have a lot to look at. This was December 7th, 2023, also known as Pearl Harbor Day. And so the sun was in Sagittarius, the moon was in Libra, Mercury in Capricorn stationed retrograde 5 days later. So Mercury is nice and still. Venus was in Scorpio, opposite Jupiter in Taurus, and trine Saturn in Pisces. So Venus is in detriment in Scorpio, but being opposite Jupiter in Taurus is very relationshipy, emotionally charged. And then trining Saturn in Pisces is it's really smoothing out. It's making Venus in Scorpio less fearful, less maybe inhibited. And so this is sort of like the, exciting, intense part of the Venus in Scorpio. Sun in Sagittarius is all about celebration. Moon in Libra is literally the relationship sign. And then so looking at Selena's transits, the North Node was conjunct her moon, and the moon rules her sun, which then, rules her ascendant. So this activates her first and seventh house axis, the axis of self and partner. This is about her heart growing with the North. So the North Node is about increase and On her moon, this is growing her heart. I thought I got the imagery of the Grinch, although obviously she's not the Grinch, but, like, the heart growing and just really opening her up and making her able to feel like she can be vulnerable. And when the North Node crosses a point or a planet in a natal chart, it's a time of fated events with significant beginnings and or significant endings. So this was obviously the beginning of her public relationship with Benny. Mercury was conjunct her natal north node. So the transiting north node's on her moon and her natal north node's also being activated. So there's a lot of north node stuff that we're, moving towards the future. Mercury conjunct the natal north node indicates sharing a message with her massive social media following. Venus is conjunct her IC. So Venus is love. The IC is the deepest part of her charts. This is falling deeply in love and maybe feeling like someone's falling in love with parts of her that, she doesn't always show people or that she maybe didn't even see herself. And then Jupiter was conjunct her midheaven. Midheaven's a point of publicity. This is being popular, a lot of buzz around her. And it's in Taurus, which is a sign related to relationship and commitment. And then this is an interesting one. So Juno, the asteroid Juno is conjunct her natal Jupiter, and Juno is the asteroid goddess of marriage. She was married to Jupiter. And so Juno retrograded in Virgo this year. So Selena had 3 passes of Juno to her natal Jupiter for months, I think over half the year, which is great for falling in
Oh,
love and also finding a future marriage partner. This only occurs every 4 to 5 years, so it's not a common transit. And it was more significant because Jupiter was her time lord. And in her progress chart on November 2nd, 2023, Mercury was conjunct her natal Chiron. This is really opening up a wound and being able to communicate things and share. On November 22nd, 2023, she had a progressed Moon Mars conjunction. So this is like very horny, to be quite frank. And on
oh,
December 4th, her progressed Sun entered Virgo, which is interesting. I mean, entering the sign where she has her natal Jupiter, which could make her feel really empowered. Also, her natal second house, which could feel like maybe she has more ownership of her own identity, as it she has her natal sun in the 12th, and now her progress sun's entering the second. I just think that she owns life and stuff at that point. Maybe cut that part out. And then Benny's transit. So Jupiter was conjunct his natal Venus Jupiter conjunction. Jupiter expands whatever it touches. And Jupiter transiting natal Venus is a time when people are filled with love. Also, if his Jupiter is in Taurus, then it was his Jupiter return, which is a transit that occurs every 12 years and indicates significant personal growth. Especially true for Benny. The Jupiter return would be significant because his Sun and North Node are in Pisces, which is ruled by Jupiter. And then Neptune was
mm.
conjunct.
God, we need that
I
birth time
know,
to
I know.
confirm. I bet this feels right to me.
And Neptune's conjunct his North Node, so it could feel like he's living in a dream. And then I also just, of course, had to look at Selena's solar return. So she turned 31 on July 22nd, 2023, which earlier we mentioned that she posted photos with him at her birthday party. She began in 8th house Pisces Jupiter year. Jupiter was in the 5th house of romance and pleasure in her solar return chart. And in Taurus, again, the sign of security, romance, sensuality. Jupiter in Taurus transiting her natal 10th house of publicity, popularity, and social status. Like the 10th house is sort of everything you would put in a bio. A lot of people get married during 10th house transits, or I guess in this case, she's committing formally. The sun was in her 7th house of marriage and commitment in her solar return chart, which is huge. Just whatever house the sun is in the solar return chart indicates major themes for the year. Also, Venus stationed retrograde in Leo in Selena's first house 1 hour after her solar return perfected. So her 31st birthday party, like she posted a picture of Benny Blanco, but they'd known each other for years, like we said earlier. And Venus retrogrades can be a time when we go back to people from our past and maybe their past loves. Maybe you just see
Right?
them in a new light. Maybe you have an opportunity to rekindle something that never really got off the ground. Right?
Mhm.
And so Venus was
Cute.
transiting her
Very
first
cute.
house from June 5th, 2023 through October 8th, 2023, which again activates the first house of self and partner, or first and 7th house axis of self and partner. So yeah, so this is a lot going on,
But
but so
yeah,
much confirms.
I feel like when you're a celebrity or I don't know, someone like me, I didn't post Stanton on Instagram until I like knew he was the one.
Oh, cute.
I'm like, I'm not trying to
When did he
delete
post you
somebody off
before
my
that, right?
Instagram. No,
Well, I guess 2
I
Capricorn
don't think
risings
so.
are privé.
We were very privé. But yeah, and at one point she was the most followed person on
I think she
Instagram
might
in the
like
world. So I
Yeah.
don't
Cristiano
even know if she's
Ronaldo
still like the
might
top
be,
5.
but she might be the most
Yeah,
followed
he is,
woman.
but yeah, I think she is. She's crazy.
Yeah.
So, after the initial announcement, Selena and Benny continue their PDA love train well into 2024, and fans seem to just be like pumped to see Selena happy. Obviously, they'd been on a 8-year long roller coaster with her and Bieber, and regardless of his looks, Benny seems like a genuinely good dude. I know a lot of people were giving her shit about that, but I feel like, it's not all about that.
Yeah. Selena had said, I've never been loved this way. Benny is a light, a complete light in her life. He's her best friend. She loves telling him everything. And everyone's always like, why are you constantly posting about him? And she said, it's because this is like the safest I've ever felt in a relationship. And I see a future with him.
To clarify, I think he's cute, but a
I
lot
see
of
it.
people were like, "What the hell?" kind of thing. Like she's taller than he's like a
She's taller than him. She's
people
like
were
five
just like
five.
confused. I thought she well, maybe just because she's always wearing
Sure.
heels.
I mean, I know
He's
there are men who
just,
are shorter
yeah,
than
he
five
is
five,
not.
so we love our short kings.
We do love short kings on this podcast. No shame. No hate towards the short king.
We won't marry you, but
But Dana.
He does look pretty short next to her, not gonna
Yeah.
lie.
let's see how tall
All
he
right.
is.
Are we looking how tall he is?
It says 5'9", so
That's a
Bieber
fat
also
ass
says
lie.
5'9", so I feel like they're both 5'7".
Yeah, for sure. Because she's usually probably wearing 4-inch heels. She's 5'5", and that means she would be 5'9", but she's taller than them whenever she's wearing heels.
Exactly.
So, Dana, let's take a look at their synastry to see what attracted these two lovebirds to each
There's
other.
so much attraction here. So both of them have their suns in water signs. Whenever planets are in the same element as each other, that's a trine. A trine is technically the easiest aspect, the most beneficial. It's very benevolent. They have similar priorities, with this being their sun placements, and a great deal of warmth between them. Water suns are also both intuitive and have high emotional intelligence. And they also have an Earth Mars trine. So Benny's Mars is exalted in Capricorn, Selena's is in detriment in Taurus. So Benny has the Mars upper hand. This dynamic, having the upper hand, this could be, you know, abuse of power comes as no surprise, right? Someone who has the Mars upper hand could abuse that sort of power. But the dynamic of Mars and Capricorn and Mars and Taurus, this trine was super evident to me in that interview they gave together where they're in like a recording studio. And he went on and on about how women tell men all the time what they want, and men just don't listen, and men need to listen. And it was just sort of very stern and accurate. So they also might have, both have Earth Jupiter. So they might have a Jupiter trine as well. If Benny's Jupiter is in Taurus, then and Selena's is in Virgo, then this is a Jupiter trine. It would be sort of a cherry on top. They build each other up. They don't compete or make each other feel small. There is a tremendous amount of goodwill between them. Also, both wealthy. Jupiter in Taurus or Jupiter in Earth signs wants money because it's Earth is material. You can touch it. You can also touch water, I guess, but take that out. And then Benny's Venus Jupiter conjunction is conjunct Selena's Aries moon and Taurus midheaven. So Benny's benefic conjunction of Venus and Jupiter, the two benefic planets, are devoted to making Selena feel good. And also, he is good for her career. They make a great team, both in private, the moon, and then in public, the midheaven. He loves to build her up, and she feels safe with him. Having Venus and Jupiter, your partner's Venus and Jupiter on your moon, even in an out of sign conjunction, is just so sweet. Good for her. And Selena's North Node in Capricorn is conjunct Benny's Uranus and Saturn. And so nodal synastry just adds so much gravity to a relationship. The North Node is increase, Saturn is commitment, and also Saturn rules Selena's seventh house of marriage. So Benny's Saturn on her North Node makes her more inclined to want to stay committed to him. And Benny's Mercury in Aquarius is conjunct Selena's Saturn and opposite her natal Mercury. So with his Mercury conjunct her natal Saturn, which again rules her seventh house of commitment and marriage, I mean, he asked her to marry him and she said yes. He can really speak to her. But the opposition between their Mercuries, this can be tough. Ultimately, they learn from each other and strike a balance. And, the best case scenario, worst case scenario, they argue and they're both fixed in their ways because it's Leo and Aquarius. It's fixed, fixed signs. But I think they really probably open each other's minds to different ways of seeing things. This is a very creative axis. Leo is the performer. Aquarius is the iconoclast. It's really can make a good team as well. And both of their moons are ruled by Mars, so their moons are in aversion to one another. His moon's in Scorpio, her moon's in Aries. These signs don't see each other, they're 150 degrees away. So generally, if two planets are in aversion together or in aversion to each other, then the general diagnosis is that they have nothing in common. However, this isn't always true. And so for them, it's not true because both of their moons are ruled by Mars and their Mars trine each other, which makes it easier. So their lunar synastry or their moons being averse to each other is really mitigated by that synastry. And they will both be emotionally affected by Mars transit, so they can hold each other down in these times. I guess they could also be really tough for them, but it's interesting maybe to watch that, as long as they're together. And then Benny's Pisces sun is opposite Selena's Jupiter and Virgo. And so this is often going big together and going home together. And they're generous with one another. This is all about acts of service. It's a spiritual connection. And I think that he can maybe help her see parts of herself that she can't maybe always reach without, or couldn't reach before at least. What do you guys think?
I mean, it seems like they do have a lot in common. I keep hearing like benefics,
Mhm.
benevolence, like
Oh,
gossip like
interesting.
this when it comes to
Benny
her.
benevolence.
And it's so interesting. I feel like there's a lot of good here, even though each of them have maybe challenging things in their chart, or like you said, maybe they wouldn't have as much in common as you might think, but they can hold each other down. And that's what a relationship
It seems
is.
like they have enough in common. They're in the same
Right, of
rooms
course.
or they're at the same parties, but they're not in the same, like, meeting or conference rooms or whatever,
Right.
which, is good for, not being in competition with your partner, especially in,
Yeah,
like, Hollywood.
definitely. Yeah.
Also, I wonder if their relationship is kind of intense because, like, his moon is on her Pluto
And where she
too.
has her IC. So that also is
Yeah.
really and I mean, and his moon trines her sun trines his moon. That's also a mitigating factor in their lunar synastry. So, yeah.
Yeah, and also just the nodal synastry too. I feel like whenever nodes are involved, he is going to teach her some sort of lesson for like where she's supposed to
Oh, I
go
love
in
that.
this life. Yeah.
Brings her forward. Maybe
Yeah.
shakes her out of samsara, which I feel like 29-degree Cancer sun, I mean, maybe I'm being dramatic, but it gives samsara to me.
It gives what?
Samsara, which is like the
It's another Latin
no,
word.
it's either Vedic or Hindu for, like, the cycle of continuing reincarnation. So if you're trapped in samsara, then you just keep reincarnating instead of ascending to the next, like, I don't know, form.
Oh, yeah, because you have to learn your lesson or else you keep repeating it.
So I've just pinned an eternal samsara on people who have 29 degrees Cancer placements, which is not true. But it definitely gives feeling like samsara. I would say that for sure. My progressive Venus is currently there, and I'm samsaring, I guess.
I'm sorry.
What if you marry someone named
Alright,
Sam,
well
Sarah?
No.
I mean, maybe.
Thank you.
maybe. All right, well, that concludes part 1 of our 2-part episode on Selena and Benny. In part 2, we'll be discussing their engagement, how our baby boy Bieber felt about it, or what we think he felt about it. We're going to look at their Davison chart and, of course, predictions. So stay tuned for that episode next week. I'm Elise.
I'm Dana.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is Allegedly Astrology. Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.